Hello and welcome to Financial JCL. So it is the dream for many to live off income, specifically passive income. So having an income coming in without doing any work at that time, receive the income. And I know that some of you watching, your investing goals would actually be specifically to invest to receive this income, receive this passive income, and that will be through what is sometimes called dividend investing. Now, even if you don't fully replace your employment income, the income from dividends can have dramatic effects, positive effects on your life. It can allow you flexibility in hours. You could cut your hours, or perhaps you could change job. Imagine being able to move a job that you're passionate about instead of one that you hate. So if I was going to build a dividend portfolio, here is how I do it. I'm going to take you through the key steps. Start with the objective. It's absolutely clear to have an objective in place. Examples of some common objectives might be you want to fully replace your existing income employment. You can maintain the same lifestyle but not have to work for that money. Perhaps you may wish to top up your existing income, or indeed you might want to build a little bit of extra income which you could then use to offset a reduction in your wage or your number of hours worked. Those are three common reasons why people invest in dividends. So that's step one. Be really, really clear on your objective. Once you've got that sorted, we move on to step two, and that is the amount. So based on your objective, what you need to do is calculate a monthly net amount, sit down, do a proper budget. How much money do you want to have coming in passive income from dividends in each calendar month? Now, if you want a bit of help with budgeting, check out some of the links below, either via my Patreon site or the Buy Me a Coffee site. I do have a budget tracker Google sheet that may help you with this. Now, I want to give an example here. So let's say we have a hypothetical example where we want to have a dividend income of £2,000 per month. And that means once you've paid off our mortgage, let's say we can retire, have that £2,000 a month in to us, and then not have to work. So that's our hypothetical objective here today. So once we've got that specific monthly number, we then need to build step three, an investing plan, because we're going to have to build up a large portfolio of investments in order to get that £2,000 a month coming in dividending. So first of all, I would take the 2,000 multiplied by 12 to get it to an annual value. So the value there would be 2,000 times 12, so £24,000. 24 grand coming in per year dividend income. I then like to use what I call a rule of 25. So I'm assuming a 4% dividend yield. So that would be, if we multiply that by 25, that's 4 times 25 is 100. That will give us the full amount of investment value that we need. We have the 2,000 times 12, 24,000 total. 24,000 multiplied by 25 is 600 grand. So we're going to need, in this theoretical example, assuming we have a dividend yield average in the portfolio of 4%, a £600,000 investment pot. I think for me personally, 4% is a decent rule of thumb to use. Find good dividend. You should be able to build a portfolio with that. Now that sounds like a lot of money, 6,000, but actually, you're not going to do all that in one go. It'll be over many years, and build yourself an investment plan. And you can pay yourself first. That's absolutely key, particularly if you're young. You're going to have a lot of time to build up to this, but equally, you can do it if you're older. You just need to put money in. But pay yourself first, set your investment plan, pay that first as part of your budget. And again, there's a video linked above, and that video is my new review of the Rich Man Background, which about why you should pay yourself first. So check that out if you want to go on that topic. So building up the 600,000, as we said, it's going to take time. But also, the good thing is over time, you're going to start that investment pot, and the good dividend paying companies will grow their dividends over time. So actually, the amount you require to actually put into the pot, although you want 600,000, say, at the end, you're not really putting 600,000 in. You're going to put a lot less than that in, because if you pick the right companies or the right instrument, those things will either increase in value, or indeed they'll be growing their dividends potentially in addition to that, or instead of that, they're growing their dividends, then you don't need to put a lot less money in. So the tricky thing here, the risks of this approach, the risks are going for individual companies. You're going to have to pick good companies over a long period of time. And that can be tricky. So although it's not financial advice, and none of this video taken as such, I don't know your personal circumstances, what I would do is I would stick to boring, predictable company. Low chances of failure. And I think that a lot of companies that pay big dividends or decent dividends today, they can be technologically obsolete. They could be outcompeted in the future. So if we're thinking about things that are going to be around for a long time and very boring, the best thing I can think of is insurance. I think with insurance companies, one of the things that doesn't happen or has never happened to date is reduction in insurance. Like there's more and more things you can insure. Insurance is always going to be needed. There's always going to be a market for that. Never going to go away. Another example could be food. People always need to eat, and maybe like franchising, like McDonald's. These are the sort of things that are very unlikely to change, go away very quickly, and they're things that you're going to need more and more of going forward. So examples of companies that I would pick, in fact, that I own currently in my portfolio, that would fit this criteria could be Aviva. Insurance company's been around hundreds of years, 5.69% dividend yield. Legal and General, similar, 7.34% dividend. Unum Group over in America, 3.28%, and then Shell, 3.42%. And the average of all of those would be over 4%. And insurance companies, if you can get them below book value, that's a really nice opportunity because you might be able to get some capital appreciation, accelerate your portfolio. So yeah, I think that takes us to probably the fourth part to think about, which is the other consideration. If you look at individual companies, personally, I would spread it over at least 10 companies, particularly as your pot gets large. When you get that 600,000 level, if you've got that one or two companies, you're really at risk there. If a company has a problem, has bad management, has to cut a dividend, there's a structural change in the industry, could split to probably at least 10, but no more than 20 stocks to get some sort of industry diversification in case of these unforeseen issues or bad management, which at some point there's going to be a bad manager in every company. And yeah, buying boring low risk sectors reduces the amount of time you're going to have to actively look at your positions. So you're probably going to be a bit easier with Legal and General, while with Shell. Another consideration is the reinvestment of dividends. So these companies, if you're buying dividend stocks, you're not just putting your monthly amount in. If you're using the dividends that come in from them as you're growing that portfolio to reinvest into those companies, that will accelerate your compounding effect, and your portfolio should grow much quicker. And the other option could be ETFs. So rather than buying individual companies, you may buy an ETF, exchange traded fund, index. That's an option. Reduces the risk, makes it a bit easier if you've got no time or don't know how to pick or don't want to pick companies. That's an option. If you look at the ETFs, check out the link below for Investengine, very good ETF platform. Tax is another consideration. Now, I can't give tax advice. I'm not registered, trained on that. Personally, I consider trying to minimise the amount of tax implications. So I'd use an ISA in the UK, for example, use a tax-free wrapper, so that any dividends that come into that account are not subject to tax on the dividends or indeed capital gains. Now, if you're outside of that in the UK, there are dividend taxes, and those thresholds have changed recently. So go and do your own research, make yourself familiar with those. And I know that US companies paying dividends overseas have to pay a hold to some tax on that dividend going overseas. Those are other considerations. So that's how you calculate and go about looking at how to live off dividends. Set your objective, get your amount, work out a plan to hit that amount, and then consider the wider factors. And if you are looking for individual stocks, your portfolio to start you off, some ideas of stocks to buy, check out this playlist on screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.